My big concern, the reason I don't carry a knife, I'm already worrying about the gun, and if somebody's wrestling is better than mine, then and I'm worried, and I'm like have to have two hands on the gun because their wrestling's better than mine. I'm trying just to retain
Right.
that, and they find out I have a knife, then
That's a good point.
they're going
I
that.
hadn't, I hadn't thought about that.
That's my personal thought.
That's actually very valid.
You're probably not concerned about that because there's gonna be very few people that have better wrestling than you.
But still, I mean, the same thing is, I mean, if I'm wrestling with somebody and I've got a hold of them and they see that, yeah,
it's now two things I have to maintain.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's a good point. Again, if my wrestling is better, I'm probably winning anyway, but not guaranteed.
yeah.
Hey guys, I'm here with Chance and Jeremy Horn, ex-UFC fighter, here in Sandy. You guys should totally check out his gym. So, why we started this whole thing is because me and Chance were playing a little bit with a gun, and we did this video and posted it, and there were some outcomes we want to discuss with Jeremy. I just need to look up the notes. But basically, we're all concealed carriers. We all carry appendix.
Yep.
And we're all competition shooters. Me and Chance are complete noobs in grappling, and Jeremy is an expert. So we wanted to take his opinion on that stuff. So started today, we just came in and did some butterfly guard. So Jeremy had a really cool concept when wrestling inside position is the dominant one. And basically all you're really trying to get when you pass the guard, when you go to mount, when you go to cast, things like that, is basically you're fighting for that inside position. And I started thinking more about it and kind of the takedowns and the wrestling when you do like a double leg. It's again you going into the inside position that allows you to do stuff that you want to do. So we've played a little bit with a butterfly guard. Jeremy, why is butterfly guard so good?
I think just because it puts you in an attacking position right away, and that can be difficult, and it's it's not a simple thing to do, but I look at fighting kind of like a teeter-totter. Like it's not dead level ever. You're either winning or you're losing, even if it's just by a few degrees. And so I think if you are attacking, you're winning. Even if that attack is being somewhat held back and refuted, by the other guy's defense. If I'm attacking, you're defending. That's it. If I'm attacking and you're defending, I'm winning. So if I can put you on defense, it's better. The butterfly guard is a more offensive, aggressive style because I'm constantly attacking. It also gives me inside control, better safety there, and just more options to get off the bottom.
That's kind of like what we did with the gun. When we hit enough distance, and the gun can attack on longer distance than a grappler, the shooter will win. But as soon as you can get to the gun, and Chance, you called it stuffing the draw or just preventing the draw, then you're putting the shooter on a defensive now.
Yep.
So basically what you just described. Okay. And another thing about being inside, it's not necessarily your arm being inside, it's just your more mass that actually is active, that actually is capable of doing something. But with a gun or a knife, that mass now starts shifting towards that instrument because it has more ability to do damage.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily physical mass, it's more like a mass of ability.
Conceptual mass,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so you do carry a knife, you just said, before I started recording, and you do carry a gun. And we were discussing, not necessarily like legal possibilities because we're not legal experts, but what would you do in a situation where you see something that warrants non-lethal force and you can solve it with jiu-jitsu, but you carry it?
That's a hard question to answer. We were talking and I said that I've thought about that a lot because if I have a gun, then this is potentially a lethal encounter, even if it didn't start out that way, because I have a gun. So if we end up rolling around on the ground and my gun falls out and you grab it, now it's a problem.
Yep.
Or I have to pull it out because I don't want it to fall out. All of those things are questions to think about before you jump into a fight. I guess the real answer is I just don't go out in public. I'm a hermit. I hide at home all the time. I don't want to be out in public where people are. But yeah, that's tough. I mean, I think I would have to evaluate the physicality of the people, I guess. If it was somebody that I thought I could physically dominate fairly easily, then I'd probably be a little more willing to do that. If it was somebody big or multiple people, I'd be like, I'm not jumping into that because I'm gonna end up having to go to my gun, and I don't want to have to make that choice. So,
What do you think about these, how do you call kukri? The get-off-me knife that's like really weird shaped.
oh yeah.
Around it.
Yeah.
He's the big one.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a blade. I don't think there really is that much difference in those. I mean, a lot of people like to have the fancy high-end $500 knives. I still kill you with a pencil. I mean, if I stab, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be a super high-end knife. If you know how to use it, it can be a little more dangerous, but you know,
But when does it even warrant? Because knife is already lethal force.
right,
So someone is grabbing you, and you're like, you need to decide if it's lethal or not.
right,
I guess it's a question for a lawyer.
yeah,
Yeah, for a lawyer in a fight,
Yeah.
it's like it's gonna be hard. So the fact that you have a tool that's like literally for grappling, but normally grappling for if you're both able-bodied, like normal age, same size, grappling is non-lethal
Yeah.
for mostly legal cases. And now you're like, well, I'm a shitty grappler, but I have a knife. I think you're going to jail.
Yeah,
You're going
yeah.
to prison.
Well, that's why I think grappling is so important. There's also a lot of context to think about too, but that's why I tell all the cops that they should be grappling more because you know the escalation of force is reasonable for them. You know, it's verbal, and then I think it's you know it's a baton possibly, and then pepper spray, and you know there are a bunch of them up until the gun. But if you are a competent grappler, your escalation of force is grappling until you get to a gun.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care if the guy has a baseball bat, I'll tackle him. I don't care if he's got a rock or a club or anything like that. If he's got a knife, that's something different. If he's got a gun, that's something different. But anything other than those two, I'm comfortable grabbing him and tackling, you know?
I think Tom DeBlas posted about it that they ran statistics about the police departments that had grappling, and he came to a conclusion basically that every cop on the street should have at least blue belt level.
Oh, absolutely.
And they saw the statistics that like it was less time, like much less chance of having officers involved shooting, like less deaths or something like this. But basically, statistics were saying like if cops know grappling, and it's safer for both the suspect and the cop.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you guys, you know, you've experienced this now. You've been training. Is the level of clarity and comfort it gives you in bad spots is invaluable. You know, and so many cops don't train at all. They don't shoot. They don't know anything. They're out there with a badge, just hoping that their uniform and their perceived authority will get the job done. And then as soon as it doesn't, and they actually have to do something, they're in way over their head. So getting in and training and understanding what it's like to fight, what it's like to be pressured and in a fight, and developing a little bit of technique it's just you can't put a price on that.
Yeah, being comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And especially in Jitsu, it's more than fight, because fight you kind of like receiving punches, whatever, you can stop it, say not going too hard. But with Jitsu, you will have someone laying on top of you.
Yeah.
And it sucks. Even when people are smaller. Like, I don't know what you even have when I lie on top of you.
It sucks. I don't.
Like, I can hear people breathing like,
I
like
just
they're
deal with
dying. But they deal with it, dude.
Yeah.
It's really something.
Yeah.
Like, if you can start solving problems while your, like, airways being 75% collapsed, you are developing at least, like, some mental toughness.
It's kind of a little cliche, but you guys remember the movie Fight Club?
Yes.
Where
I
there's
actually didn't watch it. I only know the memes.
Oh.
I need to watch it.
It's a good one, but there's a scene in there where, you know, he's in his inner dialogue. He's talking about what it means to be in a fight, and I think at one point he says something like, "Once you've been in a fight, the rest of your life gets the volume turned down," and that really is kind of true, because once you understand the pressure, like once you understand what it's like to have somebody kneeling on your face, you know, and you're trying to think your way out of it. Sitting in traffic, waiting at the red light, you're like, this is really not that big a
Or
deal.
getting him in fire.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not being killed.
Yeah, you're like, this really is not that big a deal. You know, it changed, like your scale of severity changes drastically when you realize how bad things can actually get. You're like, oh, this isn't that bad.
Ice baths are really good for that too. Because you're like,
Yeah.
and then you chill.
Well, anything that's going to be intense.
Yeah.
High level competition.
Yeah, same thing. Shooting.
Yep.
I did not feel that stress in competition.
It's
ever
not the same type
compared
of
to,
stress.
like-
It's not the same type of stress at all, but it's some degree.
it's more like willing to perform type of stress. It's like trying to be your best. And I feel it even on the vocals. Like if you see me doing this before standby or before beat, what I hear is actually,
Sure.
and I'm like, chill.
I noticed kind of a swing up and down when I first started shooting in competition. I didn't know anybody, and I was, you know, I was comfortable with a gun, but I hadn't shot any matches or anything, so really nervous, and I'm like terrified that I'm gonna do something stupid. And then after shooting a bunch, I'm like, yeah, whatever. I just go shoot on the weekend with my buddies and have fun. and now I'm actually starting to make a bigger push to actually get better. And now that nervousness is coming back because
Yes.
now I'm trying to remember to do this. I'm trying to remember to do this. Remember to stay low. Remember to find these corners properly. And now all that stress is coming back, and I'm back to being nervous and jittery every time again. So
Yeah.
yeah, like you said, it's just performance anxiety though. I want to make sure that I know what I should do, and I want to know that I'm trying to make sure that I do it.
And there's gonna be like, depending on the person, there's gonna be every classification. You will start feeling that you need to justify it, kind of with belts. I don't know if you cared about the belts before. Then if you go to majors and actually start becoming competitive, it's even more again.
yeah.
Yo, I'm sure.
There are phases to
Yeah.
that, phases and levels.
But I will say, compared to me only having done one jiu-jitsu competition at a white belt level, even competing high level at level 2 matches and shooting, it's not the same type of pressure as showing up to a level 1 jiu-jitsu match. Like that was more
Sure.
pressure. Like
I haven't done jiu-jitsu competition. I only done Muay Thai between the schools. I had 2 fights in one day, both wins. And yeah, the first fight, you go in, it's like real fight. Like your heart rate is top. You are scared shitless. You have tunnel vision. It's legit. It's scary. I did not feel like that anywhere. I did not have like really scary fights in like street or whatever. Usually in real life, you get scared after. Like I remember driving on a highway and there's like a wheel disconnecting from SUV and it just crosses all the lanes and then it jumps the barrier. And I'm like, oh, that's funny. And then after that, after it completely left us, it was like, okay, now I feel the adrenaline because it just started injecting, but then it came later. Good thing. Okay, so let's take a look at these notes if I can pull them up. Do you have Wi-Fi here?
Yeah.
I really want to get more people from the competitive shooting world into MMA or at least jiu-jitsu, but I also want the vice versa too. I really want to find
Yeah, I fucked it
a
up.
good way to do that.
Oh, you know, it might be. Yeah, that's one thing I've tried to do for a long time is like just so many people out there. Well, I mean, you guys know the drill. So many people out there carry a gun and they suck with it. That's its own problem. But there's people out there that carry a gun that are good with it, but then they're like, oh well, I don't need, I don't need to know how to fight. I've got a gun. There's also too many people out there that are good fighters that think that that's good enough. They're gonna punch your way out of everything. You need both.
Okay, let's start with the outcomes. Okay, the first outcome we had, if you have a gun, don't fight with your hands and definitely don't grapple on the streets. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I would choose to. I would agree with that, but I mean, that's assuming that you have the option. Like if somebody attacks you or picks a fight with you, I mean, the whole concept of picking a fight kind of implies that I could decline, but that's not the same as somebody attacking.
Yeah, absolutely. No,
So-
when you have options, of
Right.
course. Like if you're forced, it's
Yeah,
like
I would always
die.
Dude, I've seen so many things go bad in fights. Like you've heard the stories. A guy gets hit, knocked out, falls down, cracks his head on the curb, and dies.
Oh yeah.
Dude, that kind of shit happens
Like
all the
internal
time
brain
in street
damage.
fights, man. Street fights are a bad deal.
Especially with curves. Why do you even need curves? Just the elevated surface. Just mark it with a line or something.
Yeah.
Okay, 21-foot rule is more like 5 feet rule. If your draw is okay.
No.
You don't think so?
The 21 foot rule is more like a 5 foot rule. Is he saying if your draw is good enough, you can let them
basically-
within 5 feet?
We were testing and like we both
So
were able
obviously
to draw.
this means as you're drawing, you're backing up. This isn't you're just standing there and drawing.
Well, so possibly. Are we talking about getting one shot off? But
Yeah.
One shot.
Did
Which
you,
doesn't
did,
mean a whole
did you
lot.
test it with like tops and
sure.
whatnot?
But here's the thing: one shot doesn't always stop somebody.
They start making effect. You can continue.
Sure. But
So-
I think
It's not
five.
a
I think
knife,
5
it's
feet
like
is too.
grappling.
I think 5 feet is too close.
oh, for
5
sure.
feet is when we started actually connecting and stopping the draw.
Yeah.
Would you say 12 feet?
12 feet.
Oh no,
is
I'd
like-
say bigger. I'd say it's more like 30 feet.
30 feet is a lot.
Oh, really?
Well, so here's the thing. Think about it like
It
this.
depends how good your draw is.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of factors, and everybody's going to change. And if you're moving and that kind of thing, all of that, it can be effective. But you're assuming that you're going to get a gun out and get off a stopping shot. What if you don't? What if I have a knife and all I need to do is stick you in the neck once?
That was for unarmed. Yeah.
Oh, unarmed. Okay, that's a different story.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, they're trying to take you down.
Yeah. Then yeah, I think you could get away with being closer. But again, if
Yeah,
somebody's like-
knife. You start exchanging shit.
Yeah.
What if they have a spear? No, it's a spear link. Plus 21.
Well, you need to turn sideways to make yourself narrower.
That's why we practice shooting like this.
Yes.
You need a cuirasso, whatever it's called, like the medieval shit. Shout out to Dawei87 for just shitting on stuff and not explaining why.
You gotta stop responding to the haters.
No, it's good. They engage with you. They give you ideas. Like you actually start thinking about things from their perspective. It's I actually enjoy Reddit because of that. Like people are tending now more go towards fire emoji instead of thinking, instead of commenting, instead of having a discussion.
Yeah.
Everybody's just like or boo.
The thing is, most of the people that are on forums and stuff like that, very rarely are they actually educated in the topic that they're discussing.
Okay, so the next one was grip at the muzzle works great. So this is something that me and Chance encountered. Is basically, especially once the gun is already fired once, or so it's jammed. So it's just basically a piece until you tap rack it, right? Gripping at the muzzle, especially the shooter, they probably going to be married to the grip because they really want to recover that gun. That allows you more leverage.
Yep. I think more importantly, we kind of talked about that earlier. At like contact range, a knife can be a little more dangerous than a gun.
Yes, absolutely.
Because if you grab a knife, it's going to carve your hand.
Because it
up.
doesn't jam.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah,
reusable.
absolutely. So if you grab that gun at the muzzle, it makes it easier for you, or maybe not easier, but a little more. You're more capable of understanding where the muzzle is. You can keep that muzzle away from you, so you can direct it a little bit better. And yes, obviously, if the gun has malfunctioned, then it's going to be less dangerous. So yeah, grabbing the muzzle is.
I remember now, we had a moment when I was in side control on Chance, and the gun was between our stomachs. And in Jiu-Jitsu, it's like winning position. But I was completely unaware where the gun is. And the second I shifted a little bit, it created space, I got shot.
Sure.
Okay, the next one, you can tap rack after winning the gun and grappling, but it takes time distance. So again, this is MMA concept. Kind of, even if you don't, so if you do Jiu-Jitsu sparring with a gun, you still need to create that distance to do this until they grab it. And this is actually what you showed us with the open guard, when you just do this. That's good.
Yep. Yeah. Just make space. Yeah.
Playing guard as a shooter works, but it needs to be MMA guard and creating space with legs. Literally what we just discussed. Some positions that weren't equal before now become more challenging and balance out differently. Oh, have back take. If the shooter is kind of like partially drawn and kind of like position Sul, a non-shooter goes around them and does two. So yeah, let's just do it.
Yep.
So this is a good playing position. Like we can start sparring from here, and it's more or less equal. But normally that would be not equal.
Right.
Because he took my back, but we're
Right.
both fighting for the gun.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, that was the thing. Okay. Non-shooter blocking the draw, stuffing the draw can work very well, especially if going for takedown or back.
Well, see, that's kind of what we were talking about earlier. There are certain things you can do that you can't really train
Yeah.
because, like, so if we're here, let's say we're standing here, and I think you're gonna draw a gun, right? I could do this and try to stop you, or I can go bang, right? And if I hit you hard enough and knock you out, the gun is irrelevant. And we can't train that because, on three, I punch and you go to the gun, right? 1, 2, 3. Okay, well, I lost, right? But it's a different story if we're like, here, you've got a gun, bang, now you're done. But you can't really train those things because I'm not going to hit you with an elbow. So I would lose that exchange every time because I'm not going to knock you out in training.
Non-shooter blocking the gun after takedown with body doesn't work well if you don't see it. Just discussed it a few seconds
Harley,
ago.
shush.
Gun complicates a fight against an armed opponent. Additional get off
We
me
already
plate.
talked about this.
Yeah. Even master shooter cannon will fuck up a draw when rushed. Well, we saw it. Like, Chance even was like this when he first fired his shot.
Absolutely.
And that will not break your thumb, but
I was,
it will jam the gun.
The slide won't reciprocate. Yep.
yeah, I was amazed the first time I saw that. I thought a gun had way more force
Yeah.
in cycling. Yeah, I had a buddy do that same thing. He said just barely put his thumb over. It was like, clink, clink. I had no idea it was that gentle.
If I remember, it was tactical response. It's like their second class for pistol. That's like more advanced. They basically put a heavy bag on the ground, and they teach you to do this. But it's a Glock, so it will be out of battery. It will not
Right.
fire.
Yep.
But then they do this.
Yep.
They fire, basically execution shot. I hope you justify doing that.
Right.
And then you tap rack.
Yep.
Then you go doing your shit.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a lot of stuff people don't realize. Like a gun is actually very easy to break, to make it malfunction.
Yeah, you just grab the slide.
Yep.
Just one shot, or even like.
Yeah.
Okay, so first question that was so that's all my points at first. Someone said, in reference to me and Chance being competitive shooters and one stripe white belts, do you think this dichotomy in experience and time spent with each skill set might possibly affect the outcomes of drills, exercise, and conclusions that you may have drawn? And I'm like, I think it's pretty simple analysis. You don't need to be super good shooter, and I think we know enough jiu-jitsu to like understand shit a little bit that what's happening.
Yeah.
What do you
Well,
think?
and so many people today, I mean, if you've trained for 6 months, you are head and shoulders above the majority of people in the world when it comes to fighting.
Yeah, there's this joke about one stripe being a weapon.
Kind of is.
Confirmed.
Like, yeah.
Jeremy said it. I'm a weapon.
That's the thing. I mean, you guys watch fights on YouTube.
Yeah.
How terrible are those people? They have no idea what they're doing.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. And then you get one person that like wrestled in high school and he's
They just
destroying
destroy
everybody.
them. Yeah, they just tackle
just-
them, go up.
A little bit of understanding of positioning and a couple of basic ideas and some time spent actually under pressure. That's about all you need.
I think you'd probably get better mileage of attending ECQC/IAJJ.
What the fuck is IAJJ?
I don't know.
Okay, and then applying your takeaways to daily practice.
Okay, so practice, yes. Let's talk actually about it. Classes versus practice for jiu-jitsu or shooting or whatever. I think practice is important as long as you know what you're practicing. Like practice is way more important.
Oh, for sure.
Because amount of hours you can put through practice into your skill is going to be like 1,000-fold compared to just going to a class. So all these seminars, they give you additional information, give you something to think of.
Right.
Okay, so basically we have the same idea.
But yeah, I think shooting and jiu-jitsu are two different. I think
Absolutely.
terms of-
Jiu-jitsu, you need a partner. And the more partners you have, the more styles you're exposed to. Shooting is shooting. You have a target.
Right.
As long as it's not like force on force. Force on force would be fun
Right.
to do all the time.
So, what do you think about ECQC?
So you're aware with what it is.
Yeah, that's
Shit.
Craig Douglas's programs, right? Yeah. The vehicle thing adds a different element to it that I was really not very familiar with. I did one of his classes when he was here, and grappling in a car is different than you would think. Like again, generally the better grappler is going to win because he's just having better body awareness and mobility helps. But yeah, it was different. I did not expect. There were some things I didn't expect that would be useful that were. Like jamming your legs onto the dashboard and just smashing the guy into the seat with your back.
Or choking them with a seatbelt.
Yeah.
Have you seen that they have a competition now, jiu-jitsu in the car jiu-jitsu. It's stupid. And they like they do first round. I think they do no matter what, they do multiple rounds. Unless it's a draw, they go to the back seat. But first they do driver, then passenger.
Oh wow.
And then if it's a draw after that, 1-1, they go to the back seat. And you can choke with a seatbelt. And they start seatbelt on. So the first thing they do is just unclick. And then they start. I saw them won a match and it was so fun.
Yeah. But that's it. I mean, stuff like that is fun. I mean, as far as a competition goes, I don't know how much merit there is in competing that way. But in terms of training and just having some fun, I could certainly see that being something useful.
But still, instead of like in terms of like importance, just going to regular jiu-jitsu training is going to
Yeah.
be highest
Yeah.
importance.
So basically, grappling Uber Alice. I clicked on the video and then quickly realized you want it up your hair and strapped to the back of your head, looking like a woman.
Well, now I have short hair. Hi.
Yeah, what made you decide to cut it?
Jiu-jitsu.
Well, it started becoming much more itchy.
Sure.
And I was like brushing it one day and I'm like, "Oh, I'm sick of it. And every time I'm on my back, and I like to play on my back because everybody's lighter than me, they fucking step on it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm sick of it. So I wanted to have it shorter. I literally self-cut to like make it cheaper to go to the barber because I know for the longer hair they will have like more expensive thing. And I look at it and I'm like, it's actually okay. So I literally did this, then that, and did that a little bit this. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Nice.
Then I go to the barber and I told her I have like flat back of my hair, blah blah blah. Don't fuck it up. She fucked it up. She did exactly what everybody does, like a shitty fade. And she left not enough here, so it was like really hard to put it back. Now it's grown a little bit, and I can like chill a little bit, so I'm almost look human, but I still don't like it.
So I remember I had long hair when I started training in jiu-jitsu, so I feel the pain just gradually cutting off bit by bit, and then finally I'm like, fucking just get rid of all of it.
Yeah, I was actually kind of close to doing the buzz cut again, but my wife really hates it. Okay, I think that's basically all the thing I had for the gun, knife, jiu-jitsu. We did some cool stuff with butterfly. Again, it's just practice. You need like shit ton of
We just wanted a professionals who's done both input on like who's done both shooting and obviously MMA, jiu-jitsu, like opinion on both. So like a real opinion.
I think it's worth exploring. It's worth training, but I think at the end of the day, superior grappling is still the ultimate, and it can be changed, and other things can happen. But you're tipping the scales in your favor massively by being a grappler.
But if your goal is self-defense, you need to live in that MMA context that
Yes.
gives you understanding that you can get punched in the face.
Right.
This is why you use your double underhooks
Yep.
and bring them close.
That was one of the things. Are you guys familiar with Tim Kennedy and the Sheepdog group? The Sheepdog Response he does. That was one of the things that they did that I actually thought was good. Because when they do their stuff, they'll introduce guns and knives and stuff like that. But what they tell you to do is like don't stop. Normally, like two guys are grappling and then you throw a knife in, and the first guy to grab the knife and go, "Ha, gotcha, I win. Now we start over." But they don't want you to do that. They want you to just keep going.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that idea because it removes the the one stab kill mentality, right? Like, because it's not going to be that way, I guess. But the idea is, if somebody has a knife and they stab you, are you going to stop fighting?
Well, statistically,
Stay in the fight.
I don't remember what the number of stabs was, but statistically, it's
like a lot.
there's a lot of stabs before statistically most people stop.
Yeah.
And there's this guy, Varg Freeborn. You do know him?
Say his name again.
Varg Freeborn.
I have heard that name. Yeah, I don't know much about him though.
So his books are on mindset.
Oh, he's the prison guy, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. He wrote that book about.
Well, you just put his background in there. He's basically just a tactical trainer, and his approach, even though he's like
What was his book again?
Violence of Mind.
Okay.
This one I would recommend a lot. Second one is Beyond the Uda.
Okay.
So he explained his thing, but he's really like a tactical trainer, but with like competition, to be honest, of like a very
Marley.
structured and technical competitive shooter. But his background is, yes, he's from a very rough area, drugs, all kinds of stuff, violence, and he had to defend himself with a knife against a bigger opponent because he couldn't have a gun. He went and did time for that because he couldn't prove that it was self-defense, even though it was. It was like 50 or 70 stab wounds in the chest cavity. And the guy was still coming at him. And the judge is like, you can't justify 50 stab wounds. He's like, well, he wasn't stopping. And he described in his book that when the guy finally stopped, the guy actually survived.
Wow.
The guy survived. He said, he kind of like disengaged, looked at him with like different look in his face and eyes, and he said, I'm sorry. Like,
Are you?
okay, so 50 stab wounds or 70 or whatever it was will make you
If
sorry.
you're crazy.
I don't know if he was crazy. I think he just had a problem with him. It was just a violent area.
Are you guys familiar with the movie Chopper? It's supposed to be a semi-true story about a real famous villain from Australia, real well-known, same kind of guy. Oh, his name is Mark Reed. He goes by the name Chopper because he was so violent, allegedly, I don't know how true any of this is, that people were putting contracts on him that even his friends were so scared of him that they were starting to do it. So he wasn't safe in prison. So he cut his own ears off so he'd go into solitary confinement so he could get away from everybody.
So, like
So
for mental
that's-
reasons?
But that's what they thought. He did it on purpose just because he wanted to get away. But they thought that this guy cuts his own ears off. So yeah, his nickname is Chopper.
Oh God, because he chopped his ears off.
Yeah.
That is insane.
So
That was just
yeah, same thing. So there's stories where he talked about in prison where guys would, he got attacked by his friends and they stabbed him like 15 or 20 times, and then the next day they found him in the infirmary doing push-ups in his bed or something like that. So
wow.
yeah, stabbing somebody is not a super reliable way to kill him. Certainly not fast.
Except
Yeah.
there was this video where the guy is backing up, like multiple guys are backing up, and
I
some
saw
are
that.
pushing them. And the guy from the back, he like skips one person on their team, just goes funk, and then disengages. And the guy's like,
Yeah.
it's like 10 seconds, and bonk. So it's like nothing really you can do. Unless he like goes into the hole and pinches his artery and hopes that the other artery will give him a back. In Jitsu, that actually allows you to survive quite a lot.
Yeah.
They only lock on one side.
Yep. If you can keep a little bit of freedom.
Okay, well, thanks for doing this video. Really dope. I really like how you teach from the concepts perspective.
If you're the kind of person that just wants a huge library of techniques, and your brain works that way, you can recognize a position and go, this is the technique for this position. Then it works great. I tend to be a little more concept oriented myself, so like I don't care how you do it. Tell me what you want done, and I will find a way to get it done. And if you want to give me some tips as to how to make it easy, cool. But I learned jujitsu by basically watching TV, so I kind of learned by just figuring out how to do shit.
Sick.
I don't know about you. I am a visual learner, like almost 100%. So if you're visual, go on YouTube and watch.
Okay.
Like Gordon Ryan he's all over YouTube. Watch anything involving him. His matches are there. There's instructionals online. YouTube's a huge resource.
So even just watching it and trying to like, imagine things will work?
Because I do. I mean, that's like I said, that's how I learn.
Okay.
So I mean, if somebody's like, okay, so you're gonna go here, 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 and here, and I'm like, okay, I got it. I can do it now. So watching somebody do something. So some people need to listen. Some people need to do it. Some people need to write it down. I need to watch. So
Yeah, watching definitely helps. It's just on my super beginner level,
yeah.
it's really hard to transform what I saw into actual movement.
So I'll tell you what then, is I would go, a lot of Gordon Ryan's matches are on YouTube. You can find them. Watch him, but watch him with the mindset of watching how he dominates that inside space.
Yes. That's a new thing for me, yes.
When you're always
I will
looking at
probably
that,
see everything in Jiu-Jitsu now from that
yeah,
point of view.
you'll see so much.
Okay.
That's it. Controlling that inside space that's winning and losing, is controlling that inside space.
Cool.
Oh yeah.
Okay, now we need to show more for your gym. What do you have? What do you have the best? How many cops do you have training with you?
I mean, like all of Sandy PD, really.
Oh, really? All of them?
yeah.
They give you the ticket. Can you like find the guys who give you the ticket
Maybe.
and say like, hey, he's chill.
Yeah,
Like,
he's a good dude. Don't.
I'm
don't
do the
ignore that
ticket.
His mindset's different, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, most of them come through here like I.
So
kinda
don't
weird.
grapple with Sandy PD. Got it.
Well, they don't all come through here as often as I'd like. There's a half a dozen of them that come in every morning that are getting real good, and then the rest of them come in periodically here and there.
Do you only do no-gi? Or do you
Yeah,
say-
that's all we do is no gi.
So you don't build them.
No.
But level-wise, what do you say they are?
A couple of the more senior guys are probably a high blue or purple.
Okay. Oh,
Sweet.
They're pretty good.
so maybe grapple with them if they're smaller. Although it's immediately assault on the police officer.
One of them, Curtis Robertson, is he's like the firearms.
Oh, Curtis is our shooter guy.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean he's that good of a shooter, and now he's getting that good at jiu-jitsu as well. So he's
He's a literal weapon.
yes.
Do you think his shooting ability or approach to training help him in jiu-jitsu?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It's
He's
just a skill acquisition skill, basically.
Yep.
It's a meta skill.
well, and so drilling is something that really matters, right? Like dry fire matters. Dry fire is how you get good. Dry fire is how you build those reps and those neural pathways. And it's the same thing in jiu-jitsu. Do something enough, and your body will remember how to do it. So yeah, Curtis is very, very focused and very dedicated. When when I'm like, hey guys, let's go review this thing and let's get warmed up doing this thing that we've done 100 times before. He's like, okay, and he just goes and does it. He doesn't. A lot of guys are like, I did it once, I did it last week, and I want to sit and talk, and
Yeah.
you know,
They're just less dedicated.
yeah. But yeah, Curtis.
It really depends how much you love the thing. Like, both me and Chance are basically like addicted to jiu-jitsu now. I barely remember my dreams, but when I do, often I either think about jiu-jitsu in them or doing jiu-jitsu in them.
More than shooting.
I don't have any shooting in my dreams.
Probably because you've done it enough now that it's kind of settled into a more common and natural part of your life.
So with my dry fire, in terms of timing it deliberately, I am deliberately trying to reduce the time that I dry fire. So I'll be like, okay, I'll do 15 minutes, and I'll just put the music on, and I forgot to put the timer on. And I look at the time, and I've been doing it for like 1 hour 45 minutes. So I'm like, fuck. So I started trying to measure it with how many times I reapply the chalk, how many cups of coffee I drank during it, how many songs is really hard to measure because I have a playlist that like really rocks.
Yeah. Just play one song, and then when you get sick of it,
Dude, Lucas posted that song with the Ice Cream Truck melody. And it's a remix. It's like a trap remix, but his version is also rap. I found the version is just remix, and I've been listening to it yesterday when I was moving shit into the storage.
And then when I was out of the car, I was whistling it, and it's like, it's just so repetitive. It just stays there. It's kind of like a good background.
Yeah.
It was interesting. Okay, well, thanks for meeting us.